Welcome to Fi Friday Feedback with the Fi Guys podcast, where we're about to embark on a financial journey like no other. In today's episode, we're peeling back the financial layers and landscape with the Year-End Money Makeover checklist. Stick around as we tackle real-life financial challenges, including a heartfelt letter from a listener whose dream of home ownership is feeling more and more like an impossibility. Let's dive in.
I love it. Welcome to Friday.
Welcome to Friday. We
Happy
made it.
Friday.
Happy
We made
Friday.
it.
Are you
We
excited
made it.
for your weekend?
I am excited. I recently made a peach cobbler, and I am considering doing another sweet treat very soon.
Can you believe that Monday is Christmas?
I know.
Like,
Christmas on a Monday feels weird.
it does.
It feels unholy. It feels just wrong.
Well, I mean, I think like Tuesday would be best because what's it called? Christmas Eve is a
you
holiday.
gotta get that off. Yeah.
And now, like, do people get that off?
I'm getting swindled by the calendar.
Well, you and I don't work good.
I still feel cheated.
Yeah.
I still feel wronged.
We both run our own businesses. Like, we can do.
Yeah,
give yourself the week off.
We could give ourselves the week off, but who would then they wouldn't get the pod?
That's true. You wouldn't get the pod.
We gotta stick forward with the pod.
Are we gonna drop our Monday pod on Monday?
I mean, we could.
Yeah, I said we do it.
Yeah, send it.
Yeah, send it.
Send it.
For Christmas. You
Christmas.
guys have something to listen to on Christmas. You can listen to us talk about things.
Exactly. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Kind of is.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, we got a great podcast up for you. I'm excited for that viewer mailbag specifically because I want to have a home one day. Chris has a home. We're sitting in it. It's like a bat cave. It's pretty awesome. And I'm working towards that. So it's going to be very heartfelt to me. Plus, I'll be reading it. So, there's that. But we're talking about, what did we talk about last week? A little recap.
Yeah, so this time we did the basically year-end checklist of everything you want to do financial before 2024 in order to make sure that you set yourself up, because the decisions you make today are going to impact all of next year.
Absolutely. So in segment 1 of last week's pod, we talked about financial review and planning. We talked about reviewing your budget. That's super important. Reviewing your income, tax planning, and evaluating your goals. Let's go a little bit more in depth on that.
Yeah, of course. So I think it's always important that we're going to go ahead and take a look at the budget that we had set aside for ourselves at the beginning of the year. So ideally you're doing this every single year, right? This isn't hopefully the first year you're doing this, but this might be the first year listening to the Fi Guys talk about it. So this might be the first year you're doing this. And if that's the case, great job.
Yeah.
Winning.
Yeah.
But moving forward, what we want to do is we want to create a budget and say, like, this is how much money I want to spend in these core areas. Maybe I like to break it up into necessities and non-necessities. So, and I usually call that necessities and discretionary.
Okay.
So I like to say, like, my necessities budget is usually going to be like $3,000 a month. I know that. That's for the house. That's for insurance, for all the things that, like, I have to pay.
Yeah.
And then there's the discretionary fund. That is what it is. And I always want to make sure that within that discretionary fund, there's things like stuff like things that I want to buy for myself, like clothes, items. There's also like travel.
Yeah.
There's eating out.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is not essential. So I always want to make sure that's good. So I want to look at that at the end of the year and say, where did I fall short? Where did I do well? And if I did fall short, is that something I'm okay with adding into my life for next year's budget and, like, maybe increasing the budget a little bit more?
Yeah.
Or if I look back on it, this is where it kind of comes in being mindful. If I look back on it and say, oh, wow, like, if I can go back right now, like, I would take that away and, like, not do that.
Yeah, like an impulse buy or just something you
impulse.
bought and, like, didn't use.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if it's something that if I would look back and be like, oh no, I'd spend that money again. Like right now, I would do that again. Then I would definitely keep
purchase.
It was a purchase worth doing.
Also, we talked about reviewing your income. How much did you bring in this year? Not asking, but just like, it's good to know. It's good to know because it changes sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And then, see, did I bring in what I expected to? Especially if you're not a W-2 employee, if you, like, work your own job. Yeah. It's always important that you're projecting your own salary at the beginning of the year. And did you come up with that? Did you meet what you expected to? Did you fall short? Yeah. If so, that's totally fine. What can we do next year to get us back on track? Yeah. Or did we have enough money, even if we were short on money, to still meet our needs?
Yeah.
Because then we might be able to decrease our financial independence number.
Yeah. That's, dude, I'm excited I'm going to get a little, like, kind of off topic, but, like, I'm excited for financial independence. I'm stoked for it. Like, it's funny, though. For me, I can't wait to be financially independent. But at the same time, like, to me, financially independent isn't like, well, Chris, good luck being a Fi guy now because I'm going to a beach and you'll never hear from me again. Like, no, it's like, I still want to, like, do the pod. I still want to, like, do the things I love, like streaming, making videos, stuff like that. So it's like, it's just having the freedom to do the work I want to do.
Yeah, I think, we've touched upon it before, like to retire is to expire, right? So
Yeah.
I know everyone's goal is to retire and live on a beach somewhere, but I can tell you, like, I've done it before and I fell into depression, like,
Yeah.
after a few weeks.
Yeah.
Just because you need a purpose, you need something to do. Like, even me, I don't have a level of financial independence that I never have to work again, but I do have a level of financial independence in that I get to be my own boss and I get to choose what's going to bring me money.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, I know it's kind of like woo-woo, but once you stop searching for money and stop like striving for it, it just seems to come to you a bit more naturally.
You know what? That's about everything in life, you know? Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Getting back into it, dude, I'm so excited though. I love a good podcast, especially on a Friday with Christmas coming up. I love it. We talked about, and not to dampen the mood, but tax planning. Tax planning.
Taxes.
I had to soften the blow with all that, cheery stuff before. But tax planning. We talked about adjusting your income tax withholding, exploring potential tax deductions and credits.
Yep.
I think later on in this little episode, we're going to talk a little bit about health savings, making contributions that are tax
charitable donations.
Charitable donations. There we go.
Contributing to like 401ks and things like that. There's so many different ways, but for this one, in this section, it's like looking at tax planning as an option, maybe consulting with a CPA or even like ChatGPT to say like, what ways can I lower my taxes? And we're going to talk about some specific ways that are really, really easy, but there are other deductions that you might have access to that I don't have access to. Maybe you have kids, that's a deduction.
Yeah.
Maybe you own a house, that's a deduction. There's so many different ways you can do that. Maybe you own a vehicle, like an electric vehicle, to get you a tax credit. A bunch of different things you can do there. So just look at that and see what can I do, and then you can adjust your tax withholding if it's too high. So say you're withholding a bunch, but you're going to get all these credits, then you might want to adjust that for next year.
Bingo. Yeah. And evaluate your financial goals.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially every year that you set goals. And I like to set goals that are, big, hairy, audacious goals, but they're also smart goals, right?
Yeah.
That they are actually specific and they are attainable and they are measurable and they are results driven and all that, whatever the T stands for, time bound. And they are time bound.
Yeah.
That I try to set those smart goals, and I also try to set sub goals that actually reach me to that goal. Because sometimes that goal, I set them so large that even if I fall short, I still like really strive for something big.
Yeah.
But also you don't want to feel like, oh, I failed. That's why you set those sub goals. So last time I said, say my goal was to save $30,000 this year. Well, it can be max out my HSA, max out my 401k, max out my IRA.
Bingo.
And then maybe I didn't meet my entire goal of saving $30,000, but I was able to max out my IRA and my HSA.
You did a bunch of stuff along the way. I love that. No, I think, and one of the things we touched on last podcast as well is just because it's the end of the year doesn't mean this is the only time you can go back on your goals. Really, you should be checking up monthly, really.
We really should.
Financially, because if you're in financial ruin, you're not going to be in a good headspace mentally, physically, health-wise. It's not going to be good for anything. So checking up on it every month, and like you do with your wife, having a financial date, a FI date. FI date. I was like, damn, where's our FI date? I'm like, dang.
This is our FI date.
This is our FI date.
We do two FI dates a week.
2 FIs a week. I love it. It's super important.
No, yeah.
Keeping on top of it, like we talked about, credit card fraud happens, overages. Everybody knows. Everybody and their mothers know that when you have subscriptions, when you have things being charged, you know damn well some of those subscriptions are getting you're just getting eaten alive.
Yeah.
Because you're not using it.
No.
Even I canceled 2 subscriptions yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I check my budget. I check my credit cards darn near every day. And I know like I'm outside of the norm. And I don't recommend that people do that, but I look at them every day because I also do like the way that I budget and the way that I track is I do it manually.
You like to do it manually?
I like to do it manually. I usually will suggest people like use Mint or different ways. Oh, did you know Mint's going away January 1st?
No, bro.
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
Mint's done. They're going to move it to Credit Karma. So you know what I'm thinking we'll do? Maybe we'll do a podcast on different ways to budget now that Mint is gone as of like January 1st.
I need that.
Yeah, Mint's done. But I've always done it
Rest in
manually.
peace.
Rest in peace. So I've tested a bunch of different ways, and what I found is whenever I would do just the ones that were automated, it never hurt. Like it never felt like I had to do something.
I see what you
But
mean.
now when I have to like open an app on my phone, go to Google Sheets, put in the number, and put like why or like what it is. It just adds another barrier of like, do I really need to spend this money? No. And since I do it every day, every time I do it, I think about it all the time. My wife only does it once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks as she tracks her money. So she's having to look back and see it. But I find for myself it works a lot better my way. But to each their own.
Yeah, we'll teach their own. Damn,
personal finance is personal.
Damn, that's crazy. That's so disappointing that Mint's leaving. If you guys didn't know, Mint was one of the apps that I used and recommended. Both of us recommended. Where you could put in your bank information, put in your investment accounts, put in your credit cards and stuff, and it would show your income, your expenses, your subscriptions,
your spending, all that stuff,
your budget, and it was so helpful.
Yep, they're moving it away. They're moving to Credit Karma. I think it's funny because in order to budget, you're trying to save money, right? Like if you're budgeting, if you're tracking your money, you're trying to save money. But now all the tracking software
costs money.
Is starting to cost money.
Yeah.
So you have to pay money to track your money.
Damn. Mint was free and we didn't appreciate it while it was here.
Yep.
R.I.P. Mint.
R.I.P.
Dang.
Fly bless you.
Yep. Fly bless you. Oh man. Alrighty. Getting back into it. Segment number 2, chapter number 2. Are we, for the record, for all time, always, segment versus chapter? You want me to say segment 2 or chapter 2?
I would say segment because I think chapter sounds like a book, and we're not really making a book here. But
fair enough.
Hey man, if you want to call it chapter, I'm cool with that.
Look, I kind of like chapter. I'm not gonna lie.
You can call it chapter.
Chapter 2, retirement and health considerations.
So in each one of our chapter segments.
Chapter segments.
There's so many different. We're always going to talk about like tax planning and like ways to mitigate your taxes. But in addition to mitigating your taxes, you can also save for retirement.
Yeah.
So you're saving money for yourself in the future, and you're lowering your taxes. So the first thing that we want to do as we close out 2024 is look to maximize our contribution before the annual limit resets on January 1st of 2024.
Yeah. Simple as that.
So you can contribute to your 401k if you're employed at a workplace. This year you could have put up to $22,500 in that 401k. Just remember, on January 1st, that resets to next year's limit is going to be $23,000. But say you wanted to put in extra money in there, you can't do it anymore in this year.
No.
But the nice thing about IRAs, individual retirement accounts, is you actually have till the tax day, which is April 15th of 2024, to contribute and get that tax deduction.
Nice. Something's working in our favor.
Yeah, so maybe prioritize the 401k over the IRA because you still have a few more months to do the IRA.
Definitely.
Yeah, and make sure that if you do have a 401k that you're taking advantage of that employer match.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
At least
it's free money.
Get that 100% return on investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a little bit about the HSA, the health savings account.
Yep.
That's a big fan.
Yeah.
Everyone's a big fan of that.
Triple tax advantaged.
It's so great. It's so great. You can maximize your contributions, and it's just great. There's no downside.
Yeah. So unlike the IRA, it's just like the 401k in this regard that you have to get it in before December 31st. On January 1st, it's going to reset from this year in 2023. It's $3,850. In 2024, it's going to go up to $4,150. But on that day, you can no longer contribute to 2023's number. So we want to make sure we get that done if we can. Some employers even will match a percentage of the HSA as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So get that match. Get that match.
Get that match. It's free money. Isn't it crazy that we're in 2024? We're coming up.
Yep.
Crazy. Damn. 70s were 50 years ago. Anyway.
Wow.
Dang. Anyway, just make you feel old for a sec. We also talked about flexible spending accounts, FSAs. We're not. You personally, I don't have any experience with that particular, but you're not a fan, not so much.
I'm not a big fan because it's a use it or lose it system.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand why people use them. It is pre-tax dollars, and they are used for eligible medical expenses. Okay. And it can pull. Say you have like a big expense coming up in like February or March, you don't have that money. You can basically take all the money that you're going to contribute to the account over the year and pull it forward in order to have those big expenses. But the thing I don't like is if you don't use it by the end of the year, it goes away.
Gotcha.
So I'm not the biggest fan of them, but people use them, and as long as you're using the money, if you're using the money, then yeah, it totally works. Yeah. But I'm not a big guy of going to the doctor. Like I go to the doctor for my checkup sometimes.
Yeah. The cold plunge cures all.
Yeah, cold plunge cures all. Yes.
The cold plunge cures all. Big trust.
And then the next thing that we want to do is make sure that before we get our year-end bonus or our year-end raise, which hopefully you are getting. If not, you should start negotiating for something.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're allocating that money before we actually get it.
Yeah.
I think putting some conscious decision before thought into how we're going to put the money in, and I would definitely say you earned that money. Like you worked the entire year, you got that bonus, that increase, that whatever it is. So take a good portion of it. Take as much as 50%, 70%, maybe even as low as like 20%, and have something fun with that. But the rest of it, maybe think about putting it into investments, putting it into savings, trying to use it to max out the IRA. There's different ways of things we can do with these things, but we want to be intentional, because what I find is if people aren't being intentional, then they get like a $10,000 bonus and they're like, free money, and they go and they like buy
They blow it.
Yeah, they blow it on a motorcycle or whatever.
On something that like there's no thought into it. But if you just put some thought into it and say, well, if I got a $10,000 raise or a $10,000 bonus, I'll put $5,000 in savings. I'll do this with investment, and then it's like, oh, the extra $1,000 left. It's like maybe I'll go get something nice for myself.
Yep.
Yeah. What would you buy with an extra $1,000?
A better cold plunge.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say Lego set.
No.
Yeah.
A better cold plunge, and I'm not like.
Yeah, the cold plunge you have is. You need one like the size of this table. Although this is maybe a little bit smaller than this table.
Yeah, this table's really big.
But imagine. You could be chilling in there.
You could swim inside there.
You could swim inside that cold plunge, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I would do with an extra $1,000. I don't know. I have everything I need. Maybe some more snacks.
Cold plunge. Maybe get some stuff with the pod, like a better camera setup, or
Yeah.
some
We
like
could go.
some like real like boom mics.
Do you want to go that far? Yeah, eventually we're gonna get that.
At some point.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Ooh, that got me thinking. What else did we talk about, Chris?
After that, we talked about charitable contributions and doing an insurance review. So in 2023, you're able to make sure that you are getting your charitable donations done in 2023, because once 2024 hits, all the receipts and all the donations you're going to do are going to be for 2024, not for 2023.
Makes sense.
So, and then also make sure that if you do make a donation of money or of items, that you actually get the proper documentation for your tax purposes, so that you can actually write that off.
Yes.
And then we talked also a little bit about a donor advised fund. Unfortunately, there's not enough time in the year. We only have a few days before 2024 to get this established.
Yeah.
But it is a good way to donate appreciated stock. So if you're already charitably minded, you want to save, you want to give money already to a charity. I think the best way, rather than giving cold hard cash that you already paid taxes on to get that cash to give to the donation, you're able to donate appreciated stock, so stock that you already own that maybe has grown, that if you were to sell it, you'd have to pay taxes on it and then have to give that taxed money to the charity. You can give that appreciated stock directly to the charity.
Yeah.
You get the tax write-off of the full amount that it was when you donated it. The charity is now allowed to sell that stock. They don't pay capital gains on it because they're a charity, and they can make more money than they would have had you sold it, realize that gain, pay taxes, and give them the money.
Dude,
And you get the tax write-off of the entirety that you gave to them.
That's wild. That's wild.
Pretty cool.
I had this thought the other day that isn't it crazy that back in the olden days, and I'm talking olden days, we went to war over a 3% tax on tea, on imported tea, and now we have like all these taxes. I think it's so interesting. It's really bizarre.
The way the world works.
Down with the IRS.
Boo!
Boo!
I
No,
say.
boo! Yeah. Damn that. Anyway, getting back to the world we do live in. What else did we talk about?
We talked
updating your insurance.
Yeah, reviewing and updating your insurance. So it's really important to make sure you're assessing your health, your life, your auto, your home insurance. Make sure that those are still the coverages that you need at the right limits. And other big things, make sure the beneficiaries are correct for like the life insurance portion of that.
If you've had any falling out with brothers, sisters, kids,
Yeah.
cut them out before it's
Cut them
too
out of
late.
the will.
Cut them out of the will or the trust. Or just make sure it's up to date. Like we had a viewer message in about she got a life insurance payout from her ex-boyfriend, keyword X.
Yep.
And it was a clerical error. It was a mistake. He just didn't update it.
It didn't update it. But that's why it's really important. It's also a really good time that while you're like looking at the insurance, making sure that it works, to maybe call those insurance companies too and try to negotiate for a better price. Like I said, I try to negotiate with my insurance companies twice a year. So you don't have to do it twice a year if you don't want to. I do it twice a year because that's what I find it works the best. But this might be that one time. If you're only going to do it once a year, do it now. You're already calling them. You're already talking to them. Might as well just, hey, is there any way that I can get a discount?
Plus, it's Christmas.
Plus, it's Christmas. People are more charitably minded.
Exactly. You don't want to be on Santa's naughty list.
Yeah, you tell them that. Like,
Exactly. Do you want coal for Christmas?
Do you want a Christmas present?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a discount.
Exactly.
Give me a discount.
Give me a fat discount, or you're getting coal for Christmas. It's not going to be a good Christmas for you. We also talked about in chapter segment 4, we talked about the financial safety nets and investments.
Yeah.
Emergency funds, whatnot.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're assessing and adjusting the emergency fund amount that we have and making sure that it's in the right places. Is it my emergency fund in a high yield savings account? Is it just sitting in cash? Mm-hmm. Is it just sitting in like a normal savings or checking account? You know, we can definitely optimize those if that's the case and put it into a high yield savings account or maybe like a money market account type thing. But also outside of just the numbers around the money, how do we feel about it? Yeah. Did I lose sleep this year thinking that I didn't have enough of an emergency fund or feeling like if something happened, I didn't have the money to pay for it? Yeah. That's what that emergency fund is there for. It's not an investment in the true sense of the word that we think it's going to appreciate or be worth more. It's an investment in our happiness. It's an investment in ourselves.
Peace of mind.
Investment in peace of mind and be able to sleep at night.
Yeah. And how many months should it be for the emergency fund?
That's going to be completely dependent on the person. General rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months.
You know, if you're like older or maybe you have kids. I don't have kids or anything like that. I just have my dogs. If my wife wasn't a veterinarian, since like dog care is like so expensive, we'd probably be higher in terms of how much money we keep in cash. But since she is a veterinarian, if the dogs got sick, we have that ability that she can basically take care of them for almost free. So yeah, I mean, I keep 6 months on hand, but it's really up to the individual. So I would say 3 to 6 months is a good place. But you have to assess yourself, like how marketable are you? If you were to lose your job, how quickly could you get another job? You know.
Yeah, I think with
do you have family?
True.
Could they help you?
For me, it's like with COVID and everything, that it took so long for everything to bounce back. It's like, for me, my emergency fund that keeps me peace of mind is 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
And that works for me. And that's good for my mental health, you know?
Yeah, and remember, my 6 months is just like straight cash in savings. I also have like investments and other things that I could sell, which I wouldn't constitute an emergency fund, but those money that is available to me is in like a normal brokerage account that I use for real estate stuff. So it's not very aggressively invested. Okay. So for me, I kind of count that as an additional emergency fund that I can take out.
Interesting. My emergency fund is mostly bullets.
Yeah, bullets and guns.
Bullets and guns. Smith and my friend Weston. Anyway, that's a joke.
It's canceled.
Canceled.
We just got canceled.
I mean, we can't cancel what isn't like... I'm not going to self-burn ourselves. Anyway, getting back on that investment portfolio review, it's important to review a portfolio, making sure it's continually working for you.
Mm-hmm. Make sure that it's, maybe it might be time to rebalance. Maybe you're not someone who says like, I want to go 100% into like an index fund. So now would be a good time to look at the portfolio, see how you feel about it. Did the investments that you select to do what you want? The reason we want to do this now is because it might be time to consider some tax loss harvesting.
Interesting. Yeah, we did talk a little bit about that. You want to do a quick little explanation on that?
Yeah, so tax loss harvesting is the timely selling of securities at a loss to offset the amount of capital gains owed for selling profitable assets. So we're basically selling our losers to get tax write-offs for our winners.
Yes.
And each individual taxpayer can write off up to $3,000 in net losses annually.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, so you lost $3,000, but you made $3,000 somewhere else. You basically wash that, and there's nothing there. Different from a wash sale.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's getting deeper into it. Yeah, we'll Google it. Anyway.
Google it, son.
Google it, son. Segment number 5, we talked about debt management, education, and legacy planning.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially at the end of the year. If you do find yourself still in debt, that isn't like the normal debt, like home loan, maybe even like student loans. Yeah. Those are going to take longer. But if you're still in like credit card debt or just a debt that you want to get off of your back because you don't feel comfortable with it, now would be a really good time to create a repayment plan. Take a look at that. See what can we do to get this monkey off our back. I would definitely suggest like automated accounts. Money's automatically when it hits your account going to those funds, and then you can even consider at the end of the year maybe even doing like a rebalance or like refinancing your debt if need be. Yeah. But again, I like to think of those as kind of a Band-Aid. Yeah. They don't really fix the problem because you still might have a spending problem, and then in 6 or 12 months after the refinancing little like intro offer expires, you're in a way worse situation because Not only do you have the debt that you had when you went into that refinancing or that restructure, but you have the debt that you built up as well inside there as well.
Yeah. You got to work on the mindset of money.
Yeah, it's
you
tough.
Gotta, it's tough, but it's not too tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's easier than a cold plunge.
Yeah.
It's easier than a cold plunge. Jumping
Hard
in
but
frozen
not
lake.
easy, right? Easy but not hard?
Hard but not impossible.
Hard but not impossible, sure.
Yeah. What did you say? Hard but not easy?
Yeah. I don't know. Easy but not hard?
Okay, whatever.
It is what it is. I
It's
don't know.
easy, but it's not hard. What? I'm just breaking my brain right now. Damn, I'll meditate on that later.
Yeah, he'll meditate on it.
Just, Anyway, we also talked about education savings.
Yeah, so say you are someone who wants to save money for your kids. Before December 31st, you need to make sure that you put that money into the 529 plan. Because if you have a 529 plan that's domiciled in the state that you live in, you might be able to get some state tax exemptions, but you can only do that in the year that you're trying to claim. So 2023 taxes has to be done in 2023. We'll do a full pod on 529s in the future where I can kind of explain what I mean by domiciled and all these different things of where the 529 plan is held. But you need to be able to contribute to it. In here in Arizona, it's $4,000 per individual that you can get a write-off on.
Definitely.
But you can only do that if you do it by January 1st.
I don't know about everybody else watching, but when you said domicile, have you ever seen the show Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
When you said domicile, all I thought of was when he's like, "This is my own private domicile, and I will not be disturbed." It was just like, it just cracked me up for a sec. We also talked about estate planning.
Yeah, so it's important at the end of the year that when we're coming to the close of it, just like we did with the insurance, we also review our trusts, our wills, our estate plan documents. Make sure, again, that the beneficiaries are correct. Make sure that the investment accounts on there are correct and that everything is funded correctly. Because a lot of people, they'll change things. So maybe you had a 401k that had a beneficiary, but now you change it over to an IRA. Does that IRA still have the same beneficiary? If you have a bank account that maybe you switch from a high yield savings account at, I don't know, Wells Fargo, since Wells Fargo sucks, you went to like Chase.
Yeah.
Did you title that new Chase account in the name of the trust? You need to look at all of these things too.
Definitely.
At some point, maybe we do a podcast on estate planning too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that. We also talked about, this is our bonus point, really. Our bonus point, credit check.
Credit check.
Make sure you're not getting your credit card stolen. Make sure your identity is not stolen.
Yeah, it's just important, I think, at least once a year to go ahead and pull your credit and take a look for any inaccuracies. Don't only just focus on what the number is, because we all look at the number like, oh, I got
credit score.
Yeah, an 808, a 620, a 310. What?
Yeah.
I don't think you can go that low. Yeah, a 350.
350,
you know, if it's that bad, sorry.
God bless you.
But look at those, but don't just look at the number. Look below that too and see what actually contributed to it and what can I do to improve. Remember, the biggest part of your credit score is your payment history. So making payments on time, in full, is the best way to grow your credit score.
Simple as that. And with that being said...
Oh, and you can also go to annualcreditreport.com to be able to pull a once-a-year free full credit report that does not hurt your credit. Is my understanding it doesn't hurt your credit if you do it once a year.
But even if it did hurt your credit, it's going to bounce back.
It's going to bounce back.
And it's not like a 50-point swing.
No, it's a few points.
A couple points,
It's
yeah.
a couple points, yeah. And it comes right back.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we move on to...
Now, with that being said, we're getting into the Five Friday feedback viewer mailbag with the Five Guys on Friday.
Is that why we called it Five Friday Feedback?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
I never understood it till now.
Five Friday feedback. Yep. The more you know.
The more you know.
We got a doozy on this one. I'm going to take a glass of water. Y'all take your pauses. Get your snacks ready. It's viewer mailbag time. Alrighty. It's time. You going to take notes?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Letter. I will make $60,000 this year. I finally thought I made it. Boy, was I wrong.
Oh.
Gotcha. Okay. So, hi, Chris. Hi, Dom. Howdy. 3 short years ago, my excitement was palpable as I celebrated making just over $30K in 2020. Fast forward to this year, I've doubled that amount, leaving me over the moon. Congrats. That's awesome. It's been a journey filled with financial struggles that my wife and I have faced for quite some time. Now, however, things are finally starting to look up. Congratulations on being married. Yeah. It's kind of cool. Last week, we took a significant step forward by meeting with a mortgage person to discuss the prospect of buying a house.
Cool.
Very cool. Despite having some debt, our credit is in a decent place.
Okay.
But we don't boast an extensive savings account. The dream of home ownership was alive and well. I envisioned a home in the low 300s, 300,000.
Okay.
Which $300
Where do you
under
live?
a bridge, cardboard from Home Depot. And I envisioned a home in the low $300,000 range, which seemed like a reasonable starting point given the housing market in Ohio. Nice.
You've never been to Ohio. You been to Ohio?
I don't think I've been to Ohio. My friend Bronwyn's been to Ohio.
Okay, cool.
Big shout out to her. Cleveland, Ohio, she boasts about it all the time. She loves it. I don't see it. I don't see it. It's Ohio. Maybe one day we'll take the Five Guys to Ohio. But reality hit hard. Okay. The mortgage guy shattered my expectations, revealing that with a substantial 20% down payment, a whopping $60,000, which is an entire year's salary, lenders are looking for a household income of around $110,000 to $120,000.
Yep.
Shockingly, I'd need to double my income again to have any hope of making the dream a reality. Even with the FHA program's minimum 3% down payment, they prefer my income to hover around $130,000. This is disheartening, especially considering my wife's contribution to our income as she juggles work and pursues her degree.
Tough lady. Nice.
Yeah. The dream of home ownership feels like it's slipping away, and I can't help but compare my situation to my dad, who bought his first home in 1983 at the age of 18.
Good for him.
I hate those people so much. Before even graduating high school.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fun. Good. Cool.
Good for you.
Good for you. Good for you. Now I find myself paying nearly twice in rent that my parents pay for their mortgage. Seeing my friends easily buying their homes, some even acquiring second or third properties for rentals, leaves me questioning the feasibility of it all. It feels like I'm stuck on a hamster wheel running endlessly without reaching my destination. When will this cycle end? From dreaming of keys in a financial freeze, double my income, yet home ownership seems like a tease. Home ownership at 18, dude. That's
with a high school
before graduating high school. What are you doing buying a house before high school ends? That's crazy.
Maybe he didn't have a good relationship with his parents or something. Or
I took it a different way. I'm like, he must be throwing parties.
It was the 1980s. It was a different time. It was a different time.
Reagan was
the
in
safety
office.
dance had just released.
Yeah. Men at Work was sweeping the nation. Yeah.
The good old days.
The good old days of the 80s before cell phones and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
What would we do without our AI bot, though? Wow. A lot to unpack there.
There is, and I feel for this listener.
For sure.
I think it really feels like the whole system is rigged, doesn't it? Like, it's for the past few years, there's been a major trend of financial institutions like investment groups like BlackRock who are actually buying properties across various cities, and then they're like effortlessly outbidding normal people because normal people don't have access to capital like they do. That's why whenever you saw those signs on the street during COVID, they said we buy houses cash. That was them.
Yeah.
And being able to just straight up go inside there. That's where people would show up and be like, hey, I have the money. I'm ready to put it down right now. I have my loan and everything ready to go. And then they get a call back from the person who's selling the house like, oh, sorry, we sold this other person who had straight cash.
Yeah.
For
$20,000 more.
For $20,000 more. You're like, who are these magical people? Where are they?
Yeah, and then the home stayed vacant.
Yep. And the home stayed vacant and no one knew what it was.
Drive past your dream home and there's no one in there. You're like, what the is this?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
So a lot of that was unfortunately investment groups, and they're also pricing other people out of the market, including myself, including yourself, and I get it. It's really, really, really frustrating. Yeah. I know you said that your dad purchased his house at 18 back in the 1980s, which is super cool. Good for your dad.
With a handshake and 3 raspberries. Yeah.
Things have definitely changed, but I do want you to remember a lot of people will cite that as housing prices have increased substantially. I also want you to remember, though, that the average size of homes have doubled since the 1980s.
Yeah.
So we are paying for substantially more than our parents got, or I guess, grandparents or whatever it is,
Yeah.
parents purchased years and years and years ago. But I want, first off, to tell you that you're doing the right things. I know it's unfair, but we have to stick to what we know and what we can control. We can't control what the housing market does. We can't control any of that. But keep on doing what you're doing. It sounds like you're on the right trajectory, and so is your wife. Dude, you've doubled your income in the past 3 years.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
And
Crazy.
I know it feels like I've come this far and now I can't go any further, but you definitely can. It's just a little bit of effort every day. And that's what's going to get you. And your wife is currently working and going to school. Hopefully when she gets out of that school, we have a plan to be able to make more money with the education that she has.
Reevaluate the goal and attack it again.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, I always ask this whenever I talk to people and they ask me, like, is home ownership always going to be out of reach? I always ask, like, well, why do you need a house? Like, why do you need to own a house? And I think so many people, again, it comes down to like that money meme or that like money script of owning a house is good. My parents built their wealth through owning homes. That was the place that they were in. We're kind of in a different place now.
Yeah.
As millennials, as or Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, whatever they are.
Yeah.
We're in a different spot where housing is a bit unattainable right now. But back then, rental was not like a very viable option for them. Like it was purchase or nothing.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
There wasn't really rentals.
No.
But now rental actually is a good option. According to the Wall Street Journal, the average monthly mortgage payment is a whopping 52% higher than the average monthly payment for a house, an apartment, and a condo.
That's a big difference.
So imagine what you could do from saving that money that isn't going into a mortgage and being able to invest that money for yourself in the future, waiting for the time that you can actually purchase a house from a position of power rather than a position of, I need this right now because I need this right now.
Yeah. Or, I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it. You could continue to rent and, put that money in the market and have it grow and grow and grow, and maybe you don't own a home.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, and that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with renting.
Nope.
Like there's definitely pros and cons to renting.
Yeah, and the nice thing about renting is you can up and move whenever you want. And I know I've heard people say they've cited like, well, I read studies that said that the kids do better in homes that are their own. And
It's so silly.
it's so silly because they didn't actually read the entire study. What the study says is that kids who have a home, that doesn't mean that is their home, is that they have a home, like a place that they can call home. It doesn't even have to be a home, it could be an apartment. Just a place that is theirs. That is what kids want.
Yeah. I've rented and I've owned a home, or not owned a home, but I've lived in a home that was owned by my parents, and it's like, it's felt the same.
I think it's important also to say this, in that my rent is the highest amount I'm going to pay for my housing. Your mortgage is the lowest amount you're going to pay for your housing. When you rent, something goes wrong, AC goes out, roof starts leaking, guess who pays for that? The homeowner.
Yeah.
But if you're on the hook and you're the one owning the house, you having to pay for all of that stuff. So when you rent, you can expense housing saying it's going to be this much. And I know that because it's not going to be any more. That's the most you're going to pay.
Yeah.
When you have a mortgage is the minimum you're going to pay.
Yeah.
And if the minimum mortgage is higher than the rent, are you really winning at that point? Or are you just now fulfilling something because your parents told you the way you make money is by buying a house because that's what worked for them?
Yeah.
And that's great that it worked for them. I'm glad that it did for a lot of our parents, because a lot of parents don't have any retirement savings. Because think about that. Millennials and the younger generations are the first generations to actually have like true wealth. So by the time we get to retirement, we're not going to be dependent on Social Security. It's looking like.
Yeah.
We're just going to be patient. And when the time comes around where more people start dying off and housing starts to come back online, we'll be able to sweep up those houses. So we're going to put ourselves into a position of power and be ready for that.
Yeah. And one of the other things we talked about in another podcast was maybe if you can't find the price you're looking for a home in your area, maybe it's time to pull a little geo arbitrage, as we like to call it, or just pick up and move. I know for me, once my parents move on to the next life,
To Kansas.
yes,
To the farm in Kansas.
to the when they pass, I don't have a ton of family here. A lot of my family that is here is aunts and uncles, so they'll also be in that farm in Kansas. I could then pick up my life and move. And start a new life where cost of living could be cheaper. Where maybe I know you live in Ohio, but like maybe you live in California where it's like $1 million home is a shack and and you go to another place and $1 million home is a, a 3,000 square foot home, So it just seems that for me, you got to be flexible, and not saying that like you should or shouldn't, just making sure that's like, it's an option.
Yeah.
It's an option.
But I can definitely understand how disheartening and frustrating the situation must feel to you. And just so I can offer some help, there are some steps you can take right now to work towards your goals, even if it might not be the right time right now, and even if it might take some time to get to that goal. So here, I just want to give you a few considerations.
Let's hear it.
Number one is, what can we do to elevate our finances?
Make
Can we
more
look
money.
closer at and make more money? But also, because there's two sides of financial independence, also two sides to just making money, how much money you make versus how much money you spend. So how can we elevate our finances? Can we budget more? Can we look at maybe taking out some debts? Are we having too much in expenses? Are there any areas that we can cut back to save more, to have a bigger down payment so we can actually meet that 20% minimum when it comes up? And we can avoid that additional insurance cost to be below that limit there. And who knows how long it's going to take for the housing market to come back around to have like normal prices or quote unquote normal prices where they're feasible for us. So right now, focus on what you can focus on. That's going to be your budget, your expenses. Number two, increase your income streams. I know it feels like I just went from 30 to 60. Now you're telling me I have to go up to 120. I'm not saying you have to do anything, but it can certainly help. So you increase some household income by maybe negotiating your salary, looking for new work, starting a side hustle. I know once your wife graduates, she's hopefully going to be moving on to bigger and better things, making more money there. So let's look for ways to manage our savings effectively and to look for ways to both increase our income sources as well. Maybe even supplement our income with some freelance work or part-time work as well.
One thing I've actually seen a lot of people do, because housing where they live is so expensive, is what a lot of people I've found do is they'll buy real estate, like an income producing property, like a rental property, in a state where it's cheaper. And they'll buy multiple properties if they can. They'll maybe buy a duplex or fourplex. And rather than, live in them or house hack or anything like that, they'll use the money to start to fund their life, which I found is really interesting. Really interesting. So it's definitely a way to, if you don't want to just like save your money or have it invested in the market, it's definitely an option to just start looking into educating yourself first off. First off, educate yourself on how to buy real estate, how to buy rentals, how to manage rentals, all that fun stuff. If you have enough time for that.
Yeah.
If that's someone, not everybody should do it. Everybody can do it, but not everybody should do it.
No,
it takes the right personality to take on risk like that, to be adventurous, a very entrepreneurial soul. And if that's not for you, then don't take the advice. But I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot in a lot of times where people will actually. There's this one guy that I follow. Him and his wife lived with his parents for 10 years, and they had about 20 properties before they moved out. And when they moved out, they had enough cash flow for them. They got this huge house and like all this stuff, and they really started like enjoying their money. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, so they kept their expenses super low,
Yep.
and then they were able to just work on their income,
Yep.
and that's what kind of got them to financial independence faster. Obviously, that's a big sacrifice to say I'm going to live
Big
with my parents for
sacrifice,
10
yeah.
years. So every individual needs to make that decision. But back to our listener, another option they can do is explore affordable housing options.
Yeah.
So I know that the dream home that you want, or even just the starter home that you want, might seem out of reach, and I understand that. Like it says, like, oh, here's a starter home for $500,000. Like, how is that a starter home? In San Diego, where I'm from, like a starter home is $1 million. That's why I moved here to Arizona. Because it's messed up. But can we maybe do some affordable housing options like a condo, like a townhouse? That might be a better starter home than like a true home. Maybe even go back and like listen to our episode where we talked about all the different ways to decrease your housing costs. Because if we're decreasing our housing costs, that's decreasing our expenses, which is increasing our savings rate, setting us up more for a big future expense, which is going to be buying that house when the time comes. And then that kind of leads into saving strategically, right? So paying down, and I know you say you don't have a lot of debt, but your credit score isn't great yet. So let's look at some ways to save strategically. Again, I find the best way to do this is to automate the savings. Before the money even comes in or even hits our bank account, is maybe going to a different thing. And what you can do actually, if you're a W-2 employee, you can actually go to your HR department and you can split up where your check is sent. Did you know that?
That's cool.
So you can have like 20% set to one bank account, 80% sent to another bank account.
Nice.
So I've heard of people doing this where they'll go back and they'll put like 20% goes to this bank account, which is for this.
Taxes.
Yeah. Or
whatever.
Well, that taxes are already taken out if that's the case because they're working for a place.
But like, if you wanted to save extra for taxes.
I guess if you wanted to, I wouldn't.
Okay.
But if you want to do like 20% to savings, 30% to like this investment one that's going to go there, then 50% is coming to me for my expenses. That might be a really good way to do that. That way the money that's coming to you for like the account you look at is the money you know you can spend.
Okay.
Another good thing that you can do, you said that your credit score isn't great yet, so maybe look to improve your credit score. Having a high credit score can really positively impact the mortgage eligibility and interest rate that you can get. Definitely. So remember, the biggest thing you can do is pay your bills on time. After that, reduce your credit card balances. Definitely check your credit to make sure you're addressing any outstanding like issues from your credit report, and then that might be messing it up. So that's where it really comes in to be important to once a year take a look at your credit report and see if there's any inaccuracies because you can work on that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just like be patient and persistent. Like real estate market, it's dynamic. Conditions are constantly changing, but focus on your efforts, your patient, persistent efforts, your systems, your habits. That's what's going to get you to be able to get that house that you want eventually. And I know here in America and everywhere in the world, it's I want it now. Like I want it right now.
Yeah, instant gratification is the new thing.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, with everything in life, for fitness, for finance, for all of these things, it's these straight rocket to the moon. It's all these like kind of Ponzi scheme things that seem too good to be true. It's because they are too good to be true. There's so many people right now who are watching late night infomercials, watching their Abcor 6000 that you can get for 3 payments of $19.99 that's going to get you jacked. Yeah. But the moment you get it, you realize, oh, it's just a glorified coat hanger because the only thing that's going to get me financially fit or just normally fit is by actually putting in consistent effort every day. It's kind of, I think about it like this. I go to the dentist twice a year, right, for my annual checkup. After I leave the dentist, I need to make sure that I am brushing my teeth every day. Yeah. And I brush my teeth for 2 minutes twice a day, so 4 minutes a day. I can't go 6 months and then on the day before I go to the dentist, brush my teeth for 9 hours. Yeah. And make up for that entire time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's that persistent effort over time that's going to get you to your home ownership goals. And the final thing is maybe seek professional advice. You can always reach out to me at Mons on Wealth or another advisor in your area who can maybe help you with maybe a debt payment plan, a credit plan. Please be mindful of these and be making sure that you're looking for someone who is a fiduciary, who's looking out for your best interest. Because unfortunately, a lot with like the debt restructuring programs, the credit restructuring programs, there's a lot of grifters in there who are just taking your money and not really adding any value to you. So always be cognizant of that. Like big upfront costs usually isn't great. Yeah. But it depends. It really depends. So I don't want to make that as a blanket statement either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on the your mailbag?
Just remember that like achieving financial goals often requires time and dedication. Like while the journey seems challenging now, taking deliberate steps and remaining adaptable can improve your chances of realizing your dreams of home ownership in the future.
Definitely. Yeah, we're playing the long game.
We are playing the long game.
We're always playing the long game.
Yeah, it's just so hard. And also, I do think I brought one more thing up. Okay. They also said that they see their friends like buying their first house, their second house, their third house.
That's tough.
It is really tough, but comparison is the thief of joy.
Bingo.
And also, you have to remember that you don't know everything just because they're your friend. Like they're not telling you all the financial stuff. You don't know what kind of leverage they're using to get that house and what kind of like maybe pretty dire financial strains they're in. Like look at 2008, the housing crash, where we saw like literally anyone and their mom getting applied for all these loans and buying all these houses, and there were people who were like looking from the sidelines who weren't doing that, who weren't over leveraging themselves. You're like, how are these people doing this? Yeah. And then eventually when the rug got pulled out from under them and all these people's houses collapsed and they lost everything, you realize, oh, they actually didn't own anything. Yeah. They just had the appearance of owning something. And it's just so important that when you look at someone's life, if you want to trade lives with somebody, you don't just get the positives. you also get the negatives. So you're going to get maybe the 3 houses that your friend has, but you're also going to get their stress and their debt and the amount of work that they have to put in to maintain those houses.
Yeah.
Are you willing to trade all that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the person to make that decision.
It's wild. Yeah. But he's in the right place though. You know, he's asking for help. He's asking for advice. Things are going well.
Yeah, and he's already doubled his income in 3 years. Yeah. Once his wife graduates, I mean, who knows where they're going to go from there?
Yeah, it could double. It might double. It maybe it's definitely going to go up. I hope. Yeah, they're going to make it.
Yep,
they're going to make it.
And please feel free to reach out to me, Chris at Mons on Wealth, if you want some more specific help, and I'd be happy to kind of point you in the right direction.
Definitely.
Or be there to help you out during this journey.
Yeah. You know what I thought was kind of funny? When you were saying that you brush your teeth 2 minutes each time, twice a day, 4 hours or 4 minutes a day. I did the math, and 4 minutes times 365 divided by 60 for the minutes is you brush your teeth for 24 hours a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but again, I couldn't.
You couldn't brush
Yeah, I can't brush my teeth 24
today
hours.
Today is the day.
Yeah, I'm going to the dentist tomorrow. I better brush my teeth.
The teeth brush marathon. Your teeth would be reduced to ash probably by the end of that.
But it's kind of, I mean, there's so many people that think of that way of like, oh, I want the fix right now. But it's like, if you're going to go and run a marathon, you better start training right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, oh, the day before the marathon, I'm going to go and run 26 miles to make sure that I can do it and then go run it again tomorrow.
True. It's true. With that being said, thank you for writing into us. We really appreciate that. And we are going to get on to the win of the week.
Win of the week. You want to start this time?
I'll start this time. So recently I have been trying to add stretching and meditation into my daily, not tasks, but daily routine. Because I know you do it. I know you can't see your life without meditation, just like I can't see my life without working out now.
Good.
So it's the same.
You've added that to your identity.
Exactly.
And it's not something that you do. It's something that you are.
Yes, exactly. I am someone who is healthy. And continuing on that path of healthiness, not just physical, but mentally as well, I wanted to start meditation and stretching. And part of the things that you actually recommended was habit stacking and attaching it to a habit I'm already consistent on, which was going to the gym. So making that as simple as possible, Chris recommended that at the end of my workout, stretch and meditate. Bing, bang, boom. So I've started doing that, and it's perfect. It's perfect. So now I have 2 more things that I wanted to do, and now I'm doing them. It's perfect.
Good, man. I'm really glad for you. I'm excited to hear more about how that journey goes, and as you try different modalities of meditation techniques. I've noticed for me that meditation has been like one of the biggest game changers in my life. I think that was kind of what set me down the path of like studying philosophy more, because meditation and Buddhism are so tightly wound. And then from there I was able to find Stoicism, and then all these different things kind of came off of kind of starting there. You know, earlier I was kept on saying it was hard but not easy, or easy but not hard.
Yeah.
When you were saying it, I finally figured out what it was. It's simple but not easy.
There we go.
That's what it is for you, right?
Yes.
It's simple to meditate.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Yeah.
Meditation is probably one of the hardest things to do. I believe. To sit down and be present with your breath and only your breath, and try to focus on nothing but one thing. Because your mind is constantly racing. And until you're able to, and this is something that took me a really long time to come to the realization of, that once you're able to detach from your thoughts and realize that you are not your thoughts, can you really shut the world down around you and be okay with you and being present with yourself and being okay with yourself when you're by yourself.
Bingo. I love that. What's your win of the week?
My win of the week for my business at Mons on Wealth, I actually, this is the first time I created and sent out my first video update to my clients rather than sending them a long-winded email. And it was actually like really well received by my clients.
I love that.
So, you know, what I've noticed is like with the advent of ChatGPT, like people are just putting in a prompt and it spits out this, I hope you were having a great day or whatever.
Yeah,
I hope this finds you well.
It's super
Best
generic.
wishes. And it sends you like a very, very long letter. So I find that my inbox is like inundated with all these emails, and it just feels like homework. And like sometimes I'll put on my daily task, my 6 tasks. Sometimes like once a week, one of my tasks is catch up on my personal emails or catch up on my my emails. So I didn't want to add that to my clients and give them another thing that they had to go and like read through a long-winded email as to why we're making changes or why I'm doing things. So I recorded, I think it was like an 8 or 10 minute video just sitting right over there of me just kind of explaining to the clients like why we're making some changes, what's going on. I even put a few little video edits inside there.
I like it.
But
Getting stronger. I love it.
Getting stronger, trying to work on, I'm trying to also talent stack myself and make sure that not in addition can I write a good email, but can I craft a good narrative in a video format? And my clients really seem to like it because, again, they can just passively turn on a video, watch me. And I think it's also going to help my business because so much of being a good advisor is investing in the relationship, and just so much is lost through text.
Yeah.
If a picture can say 1,000 words, I think a video can say a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting. I always found that funny. Like a picture could say 1,000 words, but a word can say only one word. I don't know. It's kind of funny. That's awesome, though. I think that's awesome because you don't normally like record a lot of video by yourself.
Nope.
That's out of your comfort zone.
It is.
And I've seen the video and it's good. It's good. It's decent. Thank you. It's decent. I like it. And I love the edits. I love the edits.
Yeah.
I love the edits.
I'm getting good at the free Apple one that's on my computer.
The iMovie one?
iMovie, that's
There we go. Well, perfect. I love that. I think those are some solid one of the weeks.
Yeah, just like our audience, like we're here with that path with you. Like I'm not just telling you to try to get better at things. I'm actually every day trying to get a little bit better. Yeah. In the next few weeks, I'll be talking about a new project that I'm working on for my own channel.
I'm excited.
To give that a try too. So I'm trying to become more comfortable in front of the camera. I feel comfortable here because it's me, and I feel like I'm just talking to you and to you, listener. Yeah. But when it's just me and the camera alone, it's a very different dynamic, and I feel super awkward.
I got you.
So
anybody who's ever recorded video and gotten good at it, they've all been through that stage.
Okay, well, hopefully I can get through it. So
you got this. You got this.
Stay committed to the path, right?
Exactly.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's podcast. Fee for the show.
Fee for the show. If you found any value, I hope that you'll tell a friend about the Fi Guys podcast. Yeah. Bring them into this journey with you. That way you have another friend that you can bounce ideas off of. And Definitely. It's good to go on a journey by yourself, but you can go a lot farther, faster with somebody.
Yes, it's more fun with someone too. And it doesn't feel as frightening. Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to like if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, tell a friend, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you next one. Have a happy New Year as well.
New Year, Merry Christmas, all the holiday stuff.
Hanukkah, all that good stuff.
Happy holidays. Stay safe.
Later, guys.
Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.